Yeah, we're going to see what happens also in the Cotton Bowl this year. It's going to be a very different story than what happened last year. Let's talk Oklahoma, Texas coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Jay, the Oklahoma Sooners have a lot to prove this season. One of those things is in their rivalry game with the Texas Longhorns. This is a Texas team that's facing a lot of turnover this year, notably at the quarterback position, also along the offensive line and at wide receiver, where they lost Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden. This is a team that is going to be starting Arch Manning for the first time as a full-time starter. Now, he started a couple games against Mississippi State and some no-name team last year, played some snaps against Georgia that didn't necessarily fare well. Big-time talent in Arch Manning, big-time potential, has to go prove it week to week. But this is going to be a big matchup, Jay.
Oh, it's going to be massive. And that's exactly what we all want, was to have a game against, a good game against Texas. Now, granted, I know that a lot of our fans would prefer that Texas always sucks, which, totally understand. It's how a rivalry works. You don't want your rival to be that good. While at the same time, this does nothing but help and look better for Oklahoma's resume. Texas comes in last year, number 3 overall in ESPN's efficiency rating at number 3. Offense was 15th, so the offense was not as great as you would have expected, but still top 15 is massive if you really think about it. And then the top defense in the country. Now, the questions are asked with that: is that a representation of how bad the competition was, or was Texas actually that good? You can decide that one. I'll let you guys make a choice when it comes to that conversation. But I do think that Texas will be a formidable opponent. They bring back a lot of players, a lot of offensive players, and Arch Manning now leading the way. It's going to be a big deal. It's time for him to saddle up and be that dude. And now we just got to wait and see if he can come out there and produce the numbers that Texas need in order to be successful for the year. He's got 3 years into the system. I talked about that with John Mateer, why it's a big thing. I think what gives John Mateer that advantage is that Mateer has had a full season starting and making good and bad decisions. Now we can see if he can continue that trend. But Texas, one thing though, they brought in 11 transfers, only 15 went out. But John, this is what's crazy. They're returning production 103rd right now. We're waiting for, of course, the spring numbers to come, and we'll go right back over this again. But 103 in returning production. Offense, 126th ranked with only 29%, which tells you that it's really just Arch and Wisner. It's really it. Baxter got hurt, remember. I think Jarek Gibson also got hurt at some point. They were dealing with a lot of running back injuries, so they'll be trying to see if they can bounce back. But their defense is bringing back 61% production. So, and they also went and grabbed, 5 interior defensive linemen out of the portal? Like, they answered one of their biggest problems was bringing a whole bunch of young interior defensive linemen. So I guess the question now is, how good will they be?
I think they're going to be good. Will they be national title favorite good all season long? We'll see. The Jack Endries piece at tight end, I think, was a good addition coming over from Cal. That was somebody that I wanted Oklahoma to pursue. The Emmett Mosley addition at wide receiver was a good one as well. The offense, I think, will figure some things out. Kind of like Oklahoma. They don't need their offense to be scoring 40, 50 points a game because the defense is so good. You bring back Colin Simmons, you bring back Anthony Hill Jr., you bring back Ethan Burke. This is a good defense that's got a lot of experience. Michael Taffy. It's a good experienced defense. That's where I think Texas is going to be winning a lot of games. I think the offense will put up points, but I think the Texas defense is going to be part of what leads this team. And that, second Saturday in October game is going to be a matchup that I think will be one that goes down to the wire. You're not going to see a blowout in this one. You're going to see a tight game. Hopefully it's a blowout and Oklahoma's favored this time, but I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be one of those that comes down to some big plays in the fourth quarter, as it generally does. It's only been, 2 of the last 3 years that some extenuating circumstances has led to Oklahoma getting blown out. But, I think it's going to be a much closer game than people want to give it credit for. I'm not sure what the line is going to be. It's not even released yet, but it's definitely going to be a close one. It's going to be, within a touchdown either way. But yeah, I mean, Texas is good. I just don't know if they're going to be national title contender good. I don't know yet if Arch is going to be everything that everybody expects him to be. Can he be? Yeah. But by that time, we'll see. I mean, that game against Ohio State, the second weekend of the season, is going to tell us a lot about who Arch is. Not everything, because again, it's going to be his first big road start as a college quarterback. And up in the shoe, that's not going to be an easy place to play. And Ohio State is going to have a good defense ready to play against them. For Oklahoma, it comes down to doing the little things right to win a football game. In these kind of games, you can't turn the ball over, and you got to convert on third down, and you're going to have to be able to run the ball. And I think Oklahoma is going to be well set up for that. Texas is going to be replacing a lot along their offensive line. If they get their offensive line figured out and shored up and ready to go into the Cotton Bowl, that's going to make for a great game, because Oklahoma's defensive line versus Texas's offensive line is going to be the matchup to watch. And Sark will have some ways to scheme some things to take the pressure off of Arch, similar to how he did it for Quinn last year. But that's what good offensive coordinators should do. They shouldn't put it all on their quarterback's shoulders to go be playing hero ball. You should make things simple to take advantage of mismatches and things like that. One player that I think we're not getting enough love for or getting enough discussion about nationally is Ryan Wingo. That's one of those guys that I love his game. I hate saying that about any Texas player, but absolutely love his game. I think he's really, really good. I think he's going to be a star. Gives me some CeeDee Lamb vibes just with his size, speed, tackle breaking ability. That's a dude that's going to be a terror down there in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, he's going to be terrifying. And he showed a little bit of it, some flashes last year when we played against him. So you're like, oh gosh, they're going to have, they lucked out and got themselves one of those big wide receivers from that class, like the Jeremiah Smiths of the world, the Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman. Wingo was one of those. And yeah, I'm not going to pretend like he's not going to be good. He's going to be a really good player. And he's one that we have to keep our eyes on. I know Oklahoma's going to have to trail him. Hopefully Gentry's healthy enough to shadow him well and make sure that he doesn't do anything, or Eli Bowen. Just got to make sure that you don't let him get in open space. And the minute he catches the ball, especially over the middle, you smack him or you watch out for screens, which Sark does a lot of screen plays. He likes to get his guys in open space. And so I'm not going to deny and act like Texas is not going to be a solid team. They've got all the components of it. I think the one major advantage that Texas has over a lot of teams in college football is their transfers are only in a very few spots where they needed to fill holes that they have with lack of experience. They've recruited well in a lot of those spots. They just don't have the bodies that are ready to play at the SEC level. So they went and got dudes out of the portal. Again, they grabbed 5 interior defensive linemen. That's where their weakness is, which can become a strength for them, because I do like Murad Watson from Syracuse. I think he's going to be a really good piece. We were kind of looking at him at one point when the David Stone saga was happening, but their offense, they ain't got no transfers. Their offense is built homegrown. So Sark has done a good job of building that with the players he wants, similar to the way Brent Venables has done on our defense. It's mainly our guys with 2 transfer additions that we sprinkled in because we wanted some additional bodies. And, and then, of course, Dominic Williams right there in the middle. But everybody else, our dudes. That's huge. That's huge for long-term viability and long-term success at the position that you coach. I think that Texas did similar to us. They're building it. They like their players. They just know they need to fill in 1 or 2 spots here or there. Yeah,
you've got to use the transfer portal. You either you get portaled or you play the portal. And Texas has done a good job at finding some good players in the portal. Again, Emmett Mosley is another one of those. Jack Andrews, I think, good as well.
Yeah,
and
Mosley,
again, they recruit well. So it's just a matter of trusting your recruiting evaluations and trusting the process and the developmental process. The other big matchup here is Oklahoma's offensive line against their defensive front. Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill Jr., obviously a linebacker, but still will rush the passer a lot. He's a good blitzer. He's good off the edge. And then Ethan Burke. That's going to be a lot for Oklahoma's tackles to handle. And that interior is going to be tested as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one. We'll see where I fall later in the spring or in the offseason before we get to our predictions. But I'm feeling good about Oklahoma's chances in this one.
Same.
But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. You can follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, where he's Jay Smith, I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner. Cannot wait for Red River. That needs to happen like tomorrow.
Well, I can't wait for tomorrow when Brian Harris commits. That's going to be amazing.